No, it's mommy.
I'm having the time of my life. Everything is going alright. Ooh, I just made them look twice. This is how it feels when you living that good, good life. I'm just living that good, good life. I'm just living that good, good life. I'm just living that good, good life. Good, good life. I'ma do me, I can't do it no different. Gold shades tinted, yeah, I got the right vision, yeah. I won't let you down, we about to paint the town. Got the people all around, we been surfing on the crown, yeah. We them cool kids with the roof down, yeah, we let loose, so lighten up, break the rules now. Yeah, we wild out the house with the tunes loud. On top of the clouds, looking round, yo, how we ever getting down, oh. I'm just going with the flow. Hey, you just gotta let me know.
So today I want to help you out. You might be thinking about starting a new business as a new mom, and if so, congratulations.
Yeah.
But there are several things I think you want to know before you embark on this grueling yet rewarding journey. So today I'm going to share those 5 things with you. The 5 things you need to know about starting a new business as a new mom. And y'all know I keeps it real, so be prepared for some tough love. Right, Mama? Right. Okay, before I get into it, I would love to know what kind of business you have started or are thinking about starting. And if you are a mom or parent, how old are your children? This is Maya. Say hi, Maya. Hi. She is 1 year old and I have a son who is 4 years old. The nice thing about these tips is that they are also great for preparing it in advance. Like if you do not yet have a business or you are not yet a new parent, it's not too late to start thinking about that if that's something that you feel like you might be moving in the direction of in the near future. So let's start with tip number 1. The first thing that you should do as early as possible is to rank and write down your priorities. Like your priorities for everything that you have going on in life. So I'm talking work, I'm talking side hustles, I'm talking about family, free time with friends, personal time, extra professional involvement, like if you volunteer somewhere or you're involved in organizations, sororities, nonprofit boards, everything that takes up time in your life. Rank those order of importance and make sure to write it down. This is going to come in handy later in your journey because it helps you figure out what you have the bandwidth for and what you are and are not willing to sacrifice. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Basically, that list is going to tell you who and what comes before your business, like who and what is going to be prioritized ahead of your business, and where your business falls into your entire collection of priorities. So for example, when I had my full-time job, 3 things that were very important to me were my family first, and then my health. Maybe it was health and family, I don't remember. It was probably family and health, to be realistic, even if that's not the greatest order. But it was my family, my health, and then my job, meaning that if I had to pick up my son from daycare or my son was sick, I was going to prioritize him over my job. If I was sick, I was not going to come into work. That was not something that I was willing to sacrifice because on my list of priorities, my health came before my job. My family came before my job. So when it came down to those tough decisions where you're like, should I do something that prioritize X over Y, then you go back to your list of priorities and you say, well, hey, this is what I have decided is important to me. And of course you have to measure that like in the moment, like with what's going on, but it helps you get a sense of what the things are that you would have to work around as a new mother and a new business owner. So yesterday we were supposed to record this video, and literally after breakfast we found out that we had elected a new president. Shout out 46 and VP Kamala. And so the rest of the day was spent celebrating. So anyway, I completely forgot about this video. My next suggestion is to think about how much available time you have in your day to work on your business. Now, depending on your stage in business and your stage in parenthood, you may or may not have a firm grasp on what time you actually have available. So if you don't, just take your best guess. Think about the other things that you have going on in your life that take time, and basically subtract that from your total amount of time in your day that you are awake, to see how much time per day and per week you have to work in your business. The reason this is important is because when you become a new parent, or if you're already a new parent, you're gonna have much less time available. And so it doesn't make sense to start or create or grow a business that requires more time than you have, unless you are at a point where you are already able to like outsource, pay people to do other things. But really think about what it's going to take for you to start, grow, or run your business, and how much time you have available to do that. And then as you are building your business, figuring out what your business model is going to be, what the important components of your business are going to be, like delivering the service or creating the product, marketing, customer service, that type of thing. Make sure that you are building it in a way that it fits with the time you currently have available. So for example, for me, one day I would love to open up a physical retail store. I'm not going to tell you what kind of store it is. You're going to have to wait for that. But that's something I would love to be able to do one day. That is not something that I am going to be able to do right now with a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. Why you put your strawberries in there? You don't want them? The third thing to consider is what type of support you have. And that could be financial support, emotional support, family support, business support if you have contractors and employees. Basically, you're thinking about what type of external support you have, so that you know, one, who you can lean on when times get hard, two, who you can delegate things to when you don't have time to do them, or three, who can be there to lend a shoulder to cry on, or an ear to vent into, or what have you when you have that need. My primary source of support back in 2017, when my son was 2 and I had just left my full-time job to start my business, my husband was my primary form of support. And that was emotional and psychological support. It sounds so like crazy when you say it, but like I wasn't having a mental breakdown. I'm just saying he was there for me, and he supported me in my business endeavors. That's important because business gets lonely, and motherhood also is really, really lonely, especially in the early kind of like newborn stages. And so don't underestimate the need for someone who you can connect with and really talk to and express your emotions to, because you need to have that in order to function as your best self. And also to tell you when to slow down, because I know for me, I would keep powering through, or at least trying to, not realizing that I was doing more damage by trying to push through so hard. So you need people who are gonna like be in your corner, being like, actually no, Megan, what you need to do right now is sit down, take a nap, rest, not do anything, not try to be productive. So you just need to have people in your corner that are gonna give you the real, basically. Don't make a mess out of it.
We're just living our life. That's life. I'm having the time of my life. Everything's going alright. Well, I just made them look twice. This is how it feels when you living that good, good life. I'm just living that good, good life. I'm just living that good, good life. I'm just living that good, good life. Good, good life.
gosh, so it's finally nap time. My last step we talked about was support. The fourth suggestion that I have for you is to evaluate or estimate, more accurately, what you think your mental and physical energy capacities are. That's on both fronts, the business side and the child side. You probably already know that children, especially young children, babies, infants, newborns, take a lot of energy. What are your baby's needs? What are their sleeping patterns? How old is your baby? Like how much are they sleeping at night? Because that probably correlates to how much you sleep at night, or unless you have like a night nanny or some type of support like that. Again, that goes back to that support. What type of support do you have? But feeding patterns. Are you breastfeeding? Are you pumping? Are you it's all of that is going to affect the mental and physical energy that you are expending throughout the day. So you have to take that into account, but you also have to think about the mental and physical energy that your business will require. In the times when you do have breaks, are you going to have the mental and the physical energy you need to then go work on a business? Maybe you just need to rest, go to sleep, have a snack, lay down in the bed. Maybe you don't have the capacity to write emails or package your products or things like that. So that's something that you just want to think about in advance and be very realistic about. Understanding that you will not know exactly how everything is going to play out until you actually get in that situation. My last tip is to acknowledge and consider the various stages of development of both your child or children and your business. People often compare a business to a baby. There is such a similarity in the way that the stages of development of a business and a child happen. There are very discrete stages of development and very distinctive characteristics according to each of those stages. And those stages, while they are generally known, are very unpredictable when you are actually in them. So for example, you know that there is a newborn phase, the fourth trimester, you might hear it called, and then there's older infanthood, and then there's toddlerhood, and then there's early childhood, adolescence, etc. But from child to child, the experiences in those specific stages are going to be very different. The same way with business, there's your pre-seed or your idea phase, and then there's your launch phase, and then there's your foundational phase and your growth phase, and there are these distinct phases that are characterized by very specific events, but those phases differ from business to business. So as you are going through your journey as a parent or new mom and a journey as a new business owner, you are going through those different stages and those very different experiences at the same time. And so there are going to be times when the parenthood front is going really well and the business is not going that great, or both are going really well, or you're dropping the ball on both. It's just a lot to go through all of that unpredictability at the same time. Again, can totally be done, but it's just something that I think is important to think about and to kind of at least prepare for as much as possible before you actually get into that situation. My assessment of having done that is both business ownership and being a mom are constantly changing. Sometimes from hour to hour, definitely from day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. They're constantly changing, and they don't get easier. They just become different kinds of hard. So, there may be stages that go better for you than others, but there are still going to be hard things, tough things to deal with within those stages. I am not a fan of the newborn stage. I would probably have 10 kids if I did not have to raise them all as newborns. No, that's a lie. I wouldn't do that. But I just don't like that stage. That doesn't mean that the other stages are easier. That just means that my preference is to deal with the hard of the other stages. Same thing with business building. There are different things that are a part of that process that are difficult, and that it's life will be so much better once I do X, Y, Z. But you got to understand that once you do X, Y, Z, you're then going to have to do alpha, beta, gamma that are also hard in different ways. And so you're balancing this constantly evolving and unpredictable two handfuls of hard things. So I think that's something to be very aware of and cognizant of going into it. If anything, I would say that in advance of getting into a situation where you are a new mom and a new business owner, doing some real like therapy, I really don't like the term mindset work, but what I mean by therapy is like going to therapy so that you can work through any internal things that you may be facing, so that when you get into that situation, you kind of have the mental fortitude to be able to push through and power through and not be completely consumed by the overwhelming nature of everything. Because I mean, if you're already in the situation, you already know what I'm talking about. But if you're not in the situation yet, it's hard for me to like fully express to you how difficult it really is. And so you want to internally be as strong as you can, be like as tough as you can going into it, so that you are starting out on a high level, and so that when those stressors come, when those hard things come, you're not crushed by the weight of it. So the moral of the story is, to be a new mom and a new business owner, it's hard, but it's possible. And it's possible, but it's hard. Be realistic, but don't be discouraged. Consider what things you are and are not willing to sacrifice before going into it. Identify what your support systems are. Identify what level of mental and physical energy you have, and be very aware of the different stages that you're going to go through as a new mom and as a new business owner. Now, we could talk about being a mom and a business owner during a pandemic. That's a whole nother topic. So like that's a whole other video that I might do for you. Let me know in the comments if you want a separate video about that experience. If you have a mom friend or a new mom friend or about to be new mom friend who is also a business owner or thinking about starting a business, please send this video to them, because I think these tips are really going to be helpful for anyone who could be entering into that situation. And make sure you subscribe also, because I would love to have you in the Mostly Passionate Meg fam. So I'll see y'all next time.